what is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today Mike Budenholzer just got fired. I'm honestly pretty excited about it. I think it was time for a change. I mean, clearly players and other faculty did not respect Mike Budenholzer, and he has a high ego and his communication is tough. I was hearing that throughout the season from a couple people that Mike Budenholzer's communication isn't the best. Now, is it what he's saying or is it how he's delivering it? But we're going to get into that in today's video, so make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications because we have a jumbo-packed freaking off season, so might as well stay tuned because I'm going to be posting consistently, and let's get into it. Now, with Mike Budenholzer being fired, this is the third season in a row that the Phoenix Suns will be firing a head coach, starting with Monty Williams, Frank Vogel, and now Mike Budenholzer. As the Suns do search for another head coach, hopefully this is the time that we have a coach for more than a season, because a lot of people around this league are looking at the Suns and laughing. We are the laughing stock in the NBA right now. Which is it's earned. I mean, this front office has definitely earned it. Some of the stuff they're saying though, in media narratives and stuff, I'm a no narratives type of guy, so it's kind of been kind of crazy. They're saying Matt Ishbia is the worst owner in NBA history. I think there's definitely some other choices. Donald Sterling. But yeah, it's clear that nobody respects the Phoenix Suns around the NBA. There's a lot of former NBA players on podcast, such as Lou Williams, saying that he could become the next coach of the Phoenix Suns and basically just go there for 8 months and then get fired and pretty much get a bag, which at this point, I also kind of agree, because the Phoenix Suns are an embarrassment and look like the freaking method of money glitches. So there's that. But with Mike Budenholzer being fired, for Devin Booker, this will be his 8th different head coach in 11 seasons. What does that say about Devin Booker? Nothing. It says nothing about him. I don't think any of this is his fault by any means in terms of head coaches being fired. I just think that the Suns front office throughout Booker's tenure here as a Phoenix Sun has just been very disappointing in terms of getting the right people around him, especially head coaches. It's clear that Mike Budenholzer was not respected by franchise piece Devin Booker, and there was a report that came out a couple months before the season ended saying that Mike Budenholzer told Devin Booker to stop being as vocal, just kind of sit back and let me coach this team. Let me be the leader. I think that's kind of crazy to say to a star player on your team, and frankly, the franchise player. That's probably not the right way to go about it. And at that point, that's probably when they should have fired Mike Budenholzer. That's probably when they should have just went to David Fizdale and just said, "Hey, you're taking over the reins for the rest of the season," which all of us were chanting for. It's kind of been a domino effect. I'm sure there's going to be more stuff that's coming out about this season about Mike Budenholzer and his communication with players. I know something just came out yesterday. A very credentialed, respected insider in the Valley, Mr. John Gambo, sent out a tweet yesterday after it was reported that Mike Budenholzer told Bradley Beal to play like Drew Holiday. Be like a Drew Holiday. Be the Drew Holiday of this team. Play that role. I don't think that's wrong necessarily, and I've talked to a couple of other people, such as players, that don't feel that is wrong as well. I could see where Bradley Beal says, "Hey, that's not cool." And of course Bradley Beal did respond. I'll put his response here in the top left corner here. He honestly didn't take that well. Bradley Beal at one point was averaging 30 points per game and was an all-star, and he earned that contract he is on now. Now, there is irony in this, because there is a clip where Brad was talking to a bunch of AAU basketball players a couple years back, telling him that the NBA isn't just about scoring and getting stats, it's about doing the other things, especially if you want to compete and be a winner.
Got news for you. When you get to the next level, if you get there, you ain't gonna be no offensive guy. This is real, fellas. I said it in Indy. How many college guys y'all know averaging 20 a game? How many? None. Get that scoring. Hey. You're not going to school to be a scorer, fellas. What can you do to impact the basketball game to win? Your stats. Because guess what? They're terrible. Quite frankly. So why do you care? You're focusing on the road. We need to be focusing on how to win games.
When you tell them that you're going to be like Bradley Beal, and you think that you're kind of an equal to Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, yeah, that's kind of where I lose it, And I'm not siding with Mike Budenholzer by any means, and I'm not siding with Bradley Beal. I'm just saying there's probably a different way that Mike Budenholzer probably could have delivered that information besides saying, hey, be Drew Holiday, Like, he could have just said, hey, I need you to play defense, and I need you to be this role. Just play this role, Just kind of chillax in the scoring. You didn't have to say, hey, take a break from being Bradley Beal and go be Drew Holiday, I could see where Bradley Beal finds that disrespectful, because I know that certainly isn't a good choice by any means. This whole season, nobody saw eye to eye with Mike. Seems like his ego kind of took the better. Things took a hold of the reins a little bit. That was reported too in a couple articles that Mike Budenholzer just has a big ego, His communication's terrible. It's just the communication part, and if you're not able to get your players to buy in, especially your top guys, because the rest of the team is going to respond to how Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal are. It's a domino effect. That means the sixth man, Grayson Allen's probably not going to respond well. Ty Washington, that's coming back and forth between the G League, he's not going to respond well. There's just stuff like that, and there's just probably a better way that Mike Budenholzer probably could have went about communicating with the players and then some of the staff throughout the season. It was a good choice. I don't think Frank Vogel last season was probably a terrible firing. I don't think he was a bad hire by any means either. But I just think the Suns probably need to go a different direction. Get someone that's a little bit younger. Maybe go like what the Lakers did with the JJ Redick type route. Former player, clearly has high basketball IQ. And now look at the Lakers. They look pretty fucking solid to me. I know that the league probably just handed them Luka Doncic. People never convinced me that they did not do that. But, hey, ratings are ratings. And if they're making money, yeah. It's just, there's a lot of things. The Phoenix Suns have certainly got to make some huge changes this offseason. And a couple of guys that I wouldn't mind seeing brought in. A former player, I honestly wouldn't mind as much. Maybe. I've heard the name Jared Dudley been tossed around a couple times. Maybe a Sam Cassell. Chauncey Billups was in the mix as well, but he just got extended by Portland. Probably before Phoenix was probably going to pursue him. I've heard Mike Malone is probably going to get an interview, or probably going to get pursued by the Suns, which they should. I don't think Mike Malone's a bad coach by any means, but a guy that I really like in terms of potential head coaches is Royal Ivey, Houston Rockets assistant coach. I know he has some ties to KD, which I wouldn't. If the Suns do interview him or do hire him, don't expect that to be the reason that Kevin Durant stays. He's probably still getting traded. But I just like him. He's a younger dude. He knows basketball, clearly. He did coach South Sudan in the Olympics. He did a good job. Just seems like you need a coach that can connect with the players. You just got to get your guys to buy in. The same thing last year. Same exact situation. Players didn't. There was an article that came out. I think Shams put it out, where Frank Vogel, after a blowout loss against the LA Clippers, came in furious, and pretty much the players didn't take it serious or respect him. Probably because how he was, just his communication skills. Just because the message might be right, you got to deliver it, and you have to build a relationship and connect with the players. That's ultimately what it comes down to. And hopefully that next guy for the Phoenix Suns can do it, because they're spinning some crazy narratives that Kevin Durant isn't a leader and Devin Booker is a coach killer. No, neither of those are true. Now, kind of back to the Bradley Beal thing. Once again, I do feel like that message for him to play like Drew Holiday or be Drew Holiday was obviously very miscommunicated to a point where Bradley Beal said, "Fuck no, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna be Bradley Beal." There's different ways you could have went about that, but Bradley Beal, you weren't brought in here to be like the main scorer. You weren't brought in here to be Bradley Beal. You were here to be a third option. Do the dirty work, you know. Devin Booker and them, they're not going to be hustling and shit. You know, Bradley Beal's a pretty good defender. You know, when we played the Pelicans, I mean, he was guarding Zion Williamson. Like, they clearly had trust in him. He just kind of had to buy into it. And it just seems like that's kind of been the problem with the past 2 seasons is people aren't able to buy in, you know? Like, we just have the wrong guys up there. You know, players aren't going to be responding well if we don't have good leadership. And Mike Budenholzer, I mean, we saw the couple clips with him and KD where he grabbed KD's arm and he chucked it off or whatever, but he's gone, and now it's time for the search part number 4. I mean, I don't really like the whole point of bringing up the 3 coaches in 3 years because Monty Williams was here for a couple seasons. You know, they went to the finals, etc. You know, they just had to change things up. I mean, we got blew out in Game 7, and then we lost to Denver that following year. Clearly something had to be done. Was it the right move? Who knows? But it's more of like two seasons in a row more than 3. Because we brought in Frank and fired him after 1 season, then Mike. So they say 3rd time's a charm. Hopefully it's not 3 in a row. But yeah. Hopefully things get better. But I just got to say the Phoenix Suns are a complete embarrassment and nobody respects them around the NBA from what it looks like. So hopefully we can turn things around and hopefully we can have a different video next offseason. But thank you guys for watching. You guys have been showing crazy support on the channel. This is more of a rant video. This wasn't like really structured. I'm not like going off a script or I didn't have like specific topics. I just kind of went off the dome here. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Peace.
That's your personal opinion. I'm always going to be aggressive and play team basketball, whatever it looks like.